Okay, so I'm heading out for a run, and I really I've run like twice since I left the U.S., which has been between 3 and 4 weeks ago. I ran twice in Vienna, and when I got here to Albania, it was just so hot. I originally wasn't going to run. Also, the streets are not pedestrian friendly, but I've just been sitting around watching so much Olympics that I really have to do something. So today I'm going to go out and try running, and I can show you the road a little bit as I go, but I wanted to show you the outside of my Airbnb and how ridiculous it was to find it. Okay, so this is the door, my Airbnb. You can see it's a nice brand new door. The Airbnb owner redid the whole place and redid this beautiful door and this beautiful little porch with a little bench and a chair and a table for me to sit on. Okay, so this is the Airbnb, but now I'm going to show you the building that it's in. And I believe this is like a middle-class neighborhood in Albania. But this is the rest of the building. I mean, it's real. I don't know if this is a Soviet era building, or I would say it is. And then right here in my courtyard, practically in front of my door, is this little cafe over there, and people just sit there and drink coffee all day. But anyways, what was interesting was, so let me show you, the address was really funky. So where the taxi let me off was, there's the cafe, steps from the door. So the taxi let me off around here. I'm talking quietly because I'm trying to be respectful, because I'm the only foreigner around here and everybody can see that I'm filming, and I'm sure that's totally annoying. So the address was really bizarre. It was all the way out there. So the taxi cab let me off out there, like on the other side of that stop sign. Luckily, the Airbnb said you have to go around to the inside of the apartment building. And I only knew where it was because he sent a picture of this building with the red balconies. So I knew it was here. I got out here, and so I figured out to walk around there all the way to the back. And as soon as I got around to the back, I saw that beautiful wooden door that was also in the pictures that he sent me. I'm going to give it a try. Here goes. Oh, another interesting fact about Albania, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but pretty much 1 in 3 cars here is a Mercedes. I don't know why, but the rumor is that they're all stolen, and that Mercedes are stolen all over Europe and somehow make their way to Albania. But what the tour guide just said is it's just like a symbol of reliability in Albania, that everybody buys Mercedes because they keep them for like 40 years and they keep going. I don't know what the truth is. I'm a little bit on the outskirts of town. I'm about a 20-minute walk from the main square in Tirana, so I don't think too many foreigners stay around here. There aren't hotels or anything. So I like that. I get a feel for what the regular Albanians live like. Here's a school that I came across on my run, or it's what looks like a school, I think so. And then, see, there's just trash everywhere, which makes it feel like a third world country, and this road here isn't even paved. Here's another residential building. Okay, after about 16 minutes of running, I got to this bike path. It looks like it's only for bikes, not pedestrians, and there's not a speck of shade on it. But since there's no bikes, I don't think anybody will mind if I run on it. Okay, I'm back from my running. Yeah, it's not a good look for me. And actually, it's not humid here. It's just hot. So 90 degrees is really not bad. It's quite doable. It's just in the afternoon, the sun gets so intense. It gets up to 95, 96, and it's unbearable. But anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about safety. Like, from what I've heard, everybody says it's very safe to walk around Albania for solo women, and I'm feeling pretty safe. Like, when I'm out at night, there's just so many people out on the streets, many of them single women walking alone. So that feels fine. I believe there's very little violent crime in Albania. Of course, they don't have guns like somewhere else we know. So whatever there is, there's just petty theft. I don't think there's violent personal crime here. So the reason why I say that is I wanted to talk a little bit about my cab driver coming from the airport. So kids, this is one of those videos where I just sit here and talk. And I know you don't like that, so just go ahead and shut it off now. But I wanted to talk a little bit about when I got here in the airport. So I arrived in Tirana airport. And so when I walked out of the arrivals, there were just throngs of people behind the rope, presumably waiting for their Albanian loved ones to return from abroad, because as I've learned, that's where most of them live. Throngs of people. And I literally felt like I was in the Tirana Merkazit in Tel Aviv in the 80s. That's an exaggeration. It wasn't quite that bad. And then I got out to the parking lot. So my original plan was to take the bus to my Airbnb because, as you all know, I love public transportation. And it's one of the things I love about traveling in Europe is how robust the public transportation systems are. So I planned to take the bus, but when I walked out of the airport, it was 8:15 and it was almost dark outside, and that bus only runs once an hour and the next one wasn't until 9 o'clock. So I decided to spring for the taxi. And boy, was I glad I did. My taxi driver was so wonderful. He's just this lovely gentleman. And the whole way, like a 30-minute drive or 40 minutes even, he talked to me and told me all about Albania. And of course, I had just landed, so I had a million questions, and he was happy to answer them all. But let me just first tell you a little bit about the parking lot in the airport. It was this small space where there were parked cars there in the middle. Along the edges were all of these rental car agencies, and I assume their cars were there. And then there were taxi cabs crowded in there. And it was just chaos. And there was like no traffic pattern. So literally the taxi cab driver, to get out, there was just this one narrow lane and there was a car coming the opposite direction facing us. So he had to back up the whole way out of the parking lot to get out. For now, it can't really accommodate as many people as are coming in. Anyways, my taxi driver was this wonderful Albanian gentleman, and he also told me how everybody's leaving Albania, and he said there's so much corruption here. Just in the government, it's all corruption, and there's no jobs, there's no economy, he said. The average salary is 500 euros a month, and nobody can afford to buy housing. Nobody can afford an apartment, he said. He himself, most of his family is in the U.S., so he has a sister in Chicago, and his niece just graduated from the University of Illinois. He showed me a picture of her graduating. His nephew works in tech in Austin, Texas. So I asked him why he doesn't go to the U.S. himself. He said, well, his father is 89 years old, and he's staying to take care of his father. So he said someday maybe. So I got the impression that his plan is probably to leave for the U.S. After his dad is gone. But anyways, he told me, he said it's very safe for me to walk by myself here. I mean, of course, that's one person's opinion. I always take that with a grain of salt. And he said the Albanian people are very friendly, and that's been true. And he was driving a very nice car. It was just immaculate and new and very nice seatbelts and air conditioning and everything. And so I asked him about it, and he said it was a Chinese EV. So it was an electric vehicle. And he said the Chinese ones are so good, and they're like half the price of any other EV. So he got it for 26,000 euros, he said. And it was a very nice car. So it was well worth my 20 euros for the cab ride, just because I learned so much information about Albania on the way. And I also got his card. Okay, getting back to the restaurants, which you know I love. I don't know if I already said this, but there's many fish restaurants here. And the fish here is wonderful and fresh. And there's all these fish restaurants that are attached to a fish market. So shop will be a fish market where they sell the fresh fish by the kilo, and then next to it, attached, is a restaurant where they sell you prepared meals. So last night I went to a very local fish market, just a 5-minute walk from my Airbnb, and here's a picture of what I got. They brought out the fresh sardines and those dips and bread as complimentary appetizers. And then I ordered the vegetable soup and the shrimp in linguine, which said it came with pumpkin in the English menu, and it was actually zucchini. So I guess the word for squash here is the same for all varieties of squash.